Hello. I know it's late, but guess what? I'm dedicated. I told you I committed to going live every day in July, and it's day 2, and I spent the day with friends, and I spent the day driving back to San Diego from LA, and it was filled with friends and fun and travel. And guess what? I'm here. I told you I'd be here, and I am here. Don't mind the travel look from the sun and friends and barbecues and everything. And we are here to talk about mindset and why mindset is the number one thing you want to pay attention to for success in your business. I think that one of the things that happens a lot to us is we start to work on our business, and a lot of people, especially business owners, will find the challenges. You find the challenges and you're building your business, or if something changes and you need to get scrappy, getting out of your own way and clearing your mindset is going to be the key. For example, I mentioned yesterday that I never thought that I really needed self-help books or anything like that because it wasn't necessary, because I had it covered. But when I was trying to build my own thing, I found that I could not get out of my way, but I didn't necessarily know how to recognize the signs. So I was constantly trying to learn and teach and find ways to improve myself so I could better help my clients. I was looking for all of the help in order to get back to hands-on. I don't know if I mentioned this or if you are aware of it, but I used to be in a lot of vice president type positions. And so when I started my own business, I really wanted to get my hands dirty again. I felt like I had gotten too far away from like the hands-on part of marketing, and I really wanted to get my hands dirty again. But it had been a few years because I'd been in those leadership positions that didn't require that for a really long time. And so I started learning, and I took classes, and I read. I didn't really read books, but I took classes, and I started really focusing, and I was listening to podcasts while I was walking the dog, and podcasts while I was working or watching YouTube videos. And I was putting so much information in my head. And honestly, the more information I was putting in my head, the more people I was listening to, the farther away I felt like I was getting from my goals, because all I was seeing was what these people were putting out. And even though I heard their words of, I'm here today, I didn't start here, you hear it, but what I was seeing were all these professional and polished videos and people who knew what they were doing and what they were up to. And a lot of that really started to affect me, and I started to think that even though I knew what I was doing, there was some imposter syndrome set in and some scarcity mindset set in, because I really knew that I was what I was capable of, but I was struggling to believe it after a while. And so it's one of those things where when you can start to see the patterns of how you're thinking and where you're at, and do the things to move us from being in cause, from being effect and over to being in cause. When you're in effect state, everything's happening to you and you don't feel like you have that control. But when you can find a way to stop and reframe things or flip them so you're looking at them in a different way, you can start to see how to look at things differently. And you can start to see the solutions versus the problems. And there's a lot of different tools that you can use for reframing. One is that I like to look at things and look at them when you start to hear yourself saying, I can't do this, or because of this, or I should be doing this. Stop and just start writing down those thoughts, but also flip them and write down the opposite of, what if I could? What would it take to? For sometimes the question that people really like is, who would I have to be in order to make this happen? And think of somebody that you know that you could potentially model after, or take some of those traits that you've seen that help them be successful, in order to really drive that home and start finding those ways to create new patterns and new pathways, neural pathways in your mind, in order to start creating that confidence and start creating that new belief that you can do it. And sometimes it takes help, and sometimes you can do it yourself. It just depends on where you're at and how long you've held on to that belief and how strong your reframing really is. So I see new people joining, so welcome. And I'm on day 2 of the 2nd of July for 31 days live in July. And I've had a great day of travel and friends and barbecue, and I'm back from LA. And I think that we're just talking about mindset and what are the different ways to really stop those old patterns and make them reframed in a way that can help you. And part of it is catching yourself and when you're in the moment and finding that thing that's happening or that belief that's starting to trigger in your head, and really, like I said, reframing it, looking at it in a new light. What can I do different? What would happen if? What needs to happen in order to? And who do I need to be? Are some of the questions to ask. And honestly, another one is, what do you really want? Because when you can start to take that thing that you want, those goals that you want, and make them so real that you can see them and hear them and feel them as if they were already real, you're going to start making actions and taking actions that will help you get there in order to make them come alive. And it's fascinating to see, and it is fascinating to do for yourself. So if you're struggling with some of these things that might be helping you feel like you're stuck, or that might have you thinking that there's only so much money and everyone else has it but you, or imposter syndrome, which we'll be talking about later in the week, there are these tools that you can use to help reframe how you're thinking about things and create new light and shine a new light on them. Because who doesn't want that? Especially if you're feeling stuck or frustrated or like there's never enough. What if there was? What could you do? What are the possibilities? And part of it, what I've seen also, is that a lot of business owners, and I'm going to talk about money here for a second, and scarcity mindset, because a lot of business owners really struggle with scarcity mindset. And there's not enough, and I'm always struggling. But also, that same group of people tend to not want to take control of their numbers. So they don't necessarily have a good handle on how much money they're making each month. And so if you don't really know how much money you're making, or you're not tracking some of these things, how do you know that there's not enough? How do you know that there's no room for more? So it's important to take steps and to find the steps that you can do to start creating that control, that feeling of control, that ability to look and say, I know this, so now I know what's more possible. So it's also, as you're reframing, what are the things and the habits that you have that might have been holding you back? One of my least favorite things, so I'm a night person. This is probably, in all honesty, not the last weekend live that'll be happening in the late hours, and I'm in the living room because I didn't feel like going into the office. So as you look at the trends and the routines that people have been really talking about, I cannot tell you, as a night person who's always struggled with insomnia and going to bed early, and yes, people say you can learn it, and yes, I've heard it all, yes, I've tried, yes, I'm working on it, all the things, right? I'm working on reframing to take control of that, period. However, I'm so tired of seeing all the routines of the successful people who wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and this is what it takes, and you have to meditate for 4 hours, and then you have to drink the milk of an elephant, and then you have to stand on your head, and then you have to take a cold bath. And it's sometimes as if you're not doing all of those things, you're not going to be successful. And yeah, that'd be nice, but why? Who decided that? Who are these people that said this is the only pattern we're going to look for? The people who wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and then we're going to celebrate them. Because there are plenty of people who are successful who have other habits and who have other routines. But it drives me crazy. And honestly, for a while, maybe you're like, oh, is that something I should do? No, because that's not how my reframe is, and that's not how my routines are, and that's not what I want. That's not the thing that's going to help me take control of my business and make me successful. It's going to want to make me take a nap, honestly. So find the things that you can manage that'll help you do something better and more towards your goals every day for your business. Because when you sit down and look at your goals and what you want for your business, and take a minute and write down what you really want. Take a minute to write down what that goal is, what that big thing is, and when the date is, and when it's going to happen, and what it feels like and looks like and sounds like. Put all of your senses into it so you can make it come alive. Because then it's out there and it's waiting for you to show up. So what are the things that you need to do when your goal's already out there, completed, waiting for you to show up? What's the thing you can do tomorrow to work toward it? What about next week, next month, a few months? You're going to see all of that start to come into play. And that is some of the difference that'll help make the difference. So as we're talking about mindset, and as we're talking this week, and as we're talking about the importance of it and why it is the number one thing that can help you, once again, looking at notes to make sure I don't forget anything, it really is important to shift your mindset so that you're thinking positive and that you're working towards something, and that you're making sure to track some of the negative thoughts that might pop up, or some of that imposter syndrome or things, because that's really what's going to help you succeed and what could potentially hold you back. And identifying those limiting beliefs, identifying those things that make you put boundaries around what you're doing and not that keep you from between where you're at today and your goal. And some of those limiting beliefs and boundaries that I've heard are, I'm too old. I'm too old for video. Social media is too hard. I don't want to be everywhere. When did you decide you're too old? Who decided? Why? There's lots of people on video. What if that's the thing that can help make a difference for your business? These are all of the questions that you can start to look at, because there's so many. And there's so many things that can help you become aligned and look at what might be standing between you and success. And a lot of times it's the belief that you can't do it, or that you're too old, or that you're not good enough, or that everyone else is better. Or one of my favorites is that everyone else is already doing it. Are they? Everyone else is doing exactly what you're doing as you would do it. One of the best examples that I like is to use, because it's visual, is I have a bookshelf on my wall in my office. It'll be in some of the other videos. And I was interviewing my friend Brandon Berkheimer from Brands on Brands, and he had the exact same bookshelf on the wall behind him from Amazon. And we were laughing because we both had the same thing, same color, same exact thing. And you almost can't tell because we had it placed differently. The things we had on it were different. So even though he is a marketer who focuses on podcasts and video and helping create personal brands, how we do it and how we go about it, and even how we approached our bookshelf on our wall, which was the same one, was different. So there's things that you can look at that people believe that are holding you back. And those are the things that you really want to pay attention to and learn to, one, become aware of them. So notice if you're believing things that can be changed. Notice if you're believing patterns that aren't serving you. Notice if your goal seems farther away or closer, or if it seems real. Take a look at how your everyday is and notice the thoughts that are going through. And if they help you, if they serve you and your business and are positive to help your business grow, hold on to those. But if they're not, tag them and find another way to reframe them so that they can be. Because if you aren't aligned, you're basically going to be fighting within you. And I saw this firsthand when I had the cannabis brand with Moda Marketing. as well as all the other clients that I had on the other side of my business. And I was struggling because I felt like I had to be a certain voice in one place and a certain voice in another place. And you know what? None of those voices really truly felt like mine. None of those voices probably would have shown up after a day of everything looking like this, let's be clear. But it took finding the way, the path, and believing there was a way to combine them all for something that could be even more effective and more me. So that way I can better help you. So when you're looking at your business and you're seeing these things, tag them. Find a way to reframe them. Ask yourself what it takes, what's possible. Focus on what's possible. And that's going to help make a big difference. All right, so I see quite a few of you here, and it's fantastic to see you here. Hopefully, if you guys have any questions, we'll be live every day. This is only day 2. During the week, I will be live at 4 p.m. every day, and on the weekends, it's a mystery. So enjoy your evening. I will see you tomorrow at 4. If you have any questions or comments or things that you want to talk about when it comes to mindset or marketing, I'm going to be doing this all month, so you can feel free to ask them by dropping them the questions or drop me a message, and I look forward to it. I want you to remember that the place to start growing your business is within your own mindset. Every single one of you has the power to change your business, to rethink problems and make problems even disappear. And a lot of times it's a construct in our own head, and that is something that you can do. So I'm excited to see what you're going to do. All right, I will see you tomorrow at 4. Enjoy. Thanks for being here.